Before allowing personnel or employer users to log in, it is important for administrators to review your Power Details configurations to ensure that settings will work as intended. If you are unsure about the impact of changing a setting, contact your support specialist to assist you. Let's begin our overview by reviewing the site agreements under the Advanced menu and Site Configuration. Each of these tabs contain the terms and conditions users will have to agree to before doing things like logging into the system, applying for jobs, when requesting to cancel from a job, and it will also contain any default comments you wish to include on invoices, or a threshold comment if you are using refresh restrictions in your site settings. We'll touch on this in a bit. Logos can be updated to personalize your login screen and invoices by navigating to Advanced, Site Configuration, and clicking Manage Logos. Note the recommended file sizes and types when uploading images. To review overall settings for your site, let's go again to Advanced, Site Configurations, and now Settings. This video will only focus on the essential components of your site workflow. For information on the additional settings listed, hover over the question mark tooltip or contact PowerDetails support. Under the General tab, the way in which personnel are awarded jobs depends on the Auto Application Approval checkbox. Note that regardless of how you configure the setting, administrators will always be defining eligibility requirements for jobs using features like rules, job sets, job security requirements, and application timeframes. These features will ensure that personnel who should not be applying for a job are restricted from doing so. If the auto application approval box is checked, eligible personnel can apply for jobs on a first come, first served basis and are automatically awarded the job without the need for administrator review of every application. If this setting is unchecked, Power Details will be using a manual approval setting. You will see additional checkboxes appear in this case to determine how you would like to handle the applications being submitted per job. Administrators will be required to review all applications and approve who is best suited to work the job. The max application timeframe allows you to establish how far in advance users may apply for jobs. This is an overall system setting, but can be fine-tuned using things like job sets or lock settings on an individual job. Unrestricted period can be used as a reference when creating particular rules that are considered lenient or not enforced within a fast approaching time frame. Entering a number here will also make remaining open jobs happening within that number of days blink on the calendar, drawing more attention to them. If your jobs become available to personnel based on their seniority, queuing seniority minutes creates a rolling time frame in which jobs become open in that order. Job sets based on seniority differs from this in that you would establish a distinct date and time for when applications open. Queuing seniority minutes instead references your max application timeframe. Any job that becomes newly available when it enters that timeframe will be open to the person with the highest seniority number first, then move to the next person after the number of minutes indicated here. Note that persons before will not be blocked after this time, but instead will have an increasing amount of competition as time elapses. If you do not wish to utilize this feature, leave this number at 0. Finally, set the location, time zone, and time format preferences. Note that your selected time rounding type will be utilized throughout the site when building jobs, when personnel report hours, and how calculations display on invoices. Within the Billing tab, you will set your standard personnel pay rate and employer billing rates. These can always be overridden for individual classes of personnel, individual personnel themselves, distinct employers, or for unique jobs such as on holidays. Establishing minimum job hours will ensure that invoices reflect this when personnel report fewer hours than the minimum. Hours that have been rounded up to the minimum will be indicated in a red font, but you will always have access to the original reported hours. Some agencies need to override this minimum on a consistent basis, as it may vary per employer or category of job. If this is the case, we'll jump down to the bottom of this page to activate the billing approval feature. Checking the box to require admin approval of reported hours will allow administrators to override these minimums when needed. Additionally, this gives finer control in determining what personnel are ultimately paid and what you are charging on an invoice. Optionally, checking the allow fee overrides will allow administrators to review, override, and/or approve the reported fees. Moving back up to billing cycles, these are automatically generated timeframes with associated IDs to link with reported personnel details. Every invoice compiled in PowerDetails will reference these billing cycle timeframes based on either when the jobs on the invoice were worked or when they were reported. These two settings will also work in conjunction with the employer profile invoice grouping preference. You will want to set this based on the most common date ranges that are contained on your invoices. PowerDetails will then generate this same pattern moving forward. The number entered in the timeframe personnel must report hours box is used as a motivational tool. This will ensure administrators receive information for actual hours worked as soon as possible. This aids in completing invoicing quickly and being able to reference the most up-to-date information on reports. Following a work job, personnel will have this number of days to report their hours. If they fail to do so, they will be temporarily blocked from applying for new jobs until this is completed. Keep in mind that reporting hours usually takes about 2 seconds and it can be done on the website or via the apps. It is recommended to also require a comment when a job did not go as scheduled, as it can be useful for administrators to identify trends or to reference the totals on invoices. The Security tab allows administrators to fine-tune transparency preferences in regards to hours or rate displays and if personnel can easily identify other people's jobs or who will be working with them. Password preferences here will determine how often users of any role are prompted to reset their password for security purposes or if additional strengthening characters are required. If personnel administrators are identified in your site to manage jobs for particular employers, the setting to allow personnel admins to manage billing will determine if they can additionally manage any invoices generated for those employers. Leaving this box unchecked will limit personnel admins to building and managing jobs. If enabled, the refresh threshold setting will prevent personnel from camping out on job pages waiting for them to open. Checking this box will display options for how many times personnel can refresh a job page before they receive a little countdown. The threshold comment mentioned earlier from your site agreements will display when this happens. Under the Cancellations and Terminations tab, administrators can specify if they want personnel to be able to cancel from jobs they are assigned to in PowerDetails, and if these cancellations need to be limited in some way. Any cancellations made within the restricted cancellation timeframe, entered here, will only allow personnel to request a cancellation. That cancellation would not be complete until another person is assigned in their place. If a cancellation is made outside of the restricted cancellation timeframe, that cancellation is completed fully and automatically. Additionally, the prohibited cancellation timeframe can prevent personnel from attempting to cancel from a job happening soon. Instead, they will receive a notification to contact an administrator so they can assist in manually removing them from the job and assigning a replacement if necessary. Allowing backups enables personnel to apply for this position on filled jobs, ensuring they would be given exclusive access within the backup acknowledgement timeframe after a cancellation occurs. The Queue Backups checkbox additionally determines if this acknowledgement timeframe should be divided amongst the number of backups based on order of application, or if it's left unchecked, the job becomes available to all backups on a first-come, first-served basis. Utilizing the latter setting will enable the job to get filled faster. If the acknowledgement time runs out before any of the backups respond, the job will become available for other eligible personnel to apply. When an administrator manually removes an assigned person from a job, this action is considered a termination. Checking the box here to require a comment is recommended so that administrators can always reference why somebody was removed. The Last Hours and Formulas tab allows administrators to create custom columns of data. While all of this information is available via reports, custom columns will appear on personnel search pages and can be used for reference on manual approval when awarding jobs to applicants. Additionally, these columns are available on the personnel seniority page to utilize when creating an ordered list that can be used on job sets when establishing a bidding order.